So I'm going to go over what each of the bits that I currently have made does. I'm just going to do a stamp or two so you get an idea of what you can do with these bits. I am going to be using 1/8 inch steel, mainly because I work in steel. This soft steel is sort of the hardest material I would put under this. It will work even better for brass, copper, silver, gold, platinum, everything that's softer. This works significantly better, but I'm showing you at kind of its lowest capacity what this can do. So I'm going to go first with this round stamp. Now I'm going to get this, or I guess it's the ball stamp. I'm going to get this up. I want to keep this bottom anvil centered to that. So I'm going to get it in there, leave a little bit of a gap, and then I am going to squish it. Now I'm not excessively forcing the handle, just doing a good solid push, and pop it back up. And that is what you get from that one. So now I will move on to the next. Gonna do this here. This is the 1/2 inch cutter, and I'm just gonna kind of make a quick line in this metal to show you what it is capable of doing in terms of engraving, chiseling, and so on. So gonna get that back to the correct height. See if I can do a nice little line here. Just a quick little hit. Not doing anything super hard. I'm gonna see if I can just maybe curve this around. I'm doing this quickly because I don't want you guys to have to spend all day watching me do this. So you really want to keep it in the line you previously made, if you really want a nice straight line. I'm doing a curved one, which is a little bit harder to do, but it can definitely do it. I am not pushing very hard to get this. And that is what I just did. Nice, easy, quick. So now I am going to switch to the, what one should I do next? I'm going to do the 1/4 inch round die right here. It's flat. This one in steel is sort of the capacity of what this machine can do. You're asking a lot to displace a 1/4 inch of metal when you're pushing. So I'm going to get that lined up. Get a little bit higher up there. Get that in and give it a good squish. And that is the stamp that it made. I can actually, I'm going to walk that out a little bit. So I started there, then I'm just going to squish more on the edge and kind of keep squishing the edge. And you see how I just expanded that and walked it out? That's a pretty cool technique to use. So the next one I'm going to demonstrate is, let's do this one. A lot of people don't understand this one. I kind of call this the side pusher. If you can see that profile, what it does is it pushes metal out one direction while not pushing it the other direction because of the edge. So I'm going to get this in there, get that lined up, and I'm going to work on the edge here and just try to sort of push that out. So I'm going to get it in there, and I'm going to start off light because this one does take a pretty good bit of power to use, especially on steel. So I'm just doing a couple light bites. I'm going to kind of rotate that around. And I'm going to try to really push this metal out, sort of like a fullering technique, but I can use a hard edge on it. So I'm just working my way in, working my way out. And after a little bit, you'll start to see the metal expanding out. So we're just making that longer and longer. If you really wanted to push this, you would anneal the metal in between. Otherwise, you were sort of cracking it. But let's keep working that. So as you can see, that is actually starting to get longer out that way. And if you were to keep doing that, keep annealing it and keep pushing it, you could really push the metal in one direction. So I've always thought that's pretty neat and useful. So the next one I am going to do is let's do this little guy. I like doing this a lot if I'm going to set rivets. This is the 1/8 inch flat round, and this just puts a wonderful indent in, which is very easy to punch or drill or whatever you want to do. I like putting rivets in there in the holes. You can use it as a design element. I'm just going to go in right here and just do a quick little squish. And as you can see, it makes a very solid, deep indent. Very quickly, easily, effectively. You can use that as sort of a tool that can kind of nibble around in the metal, and you can create a nice, cool looking channel. Again, doing this really quick so that you can see, and again, this is 1/8 inch steel that this is nibbling in. So if you do brass, copper, aluminum, anything softer, it will do even better. Next, I'm going to do the center punch tool. This one I like using just to create kind of cool effects. Sometimes it makes it easier to drill if you're going to pop a rivet in or drill a hole. And this really, it just kind of looks neat to do this one, honestly. Do a quick squish. And as you can see, it just puts a nice deep dent into that. Now I'm going to use the fuller tool. Going to use the bigger one actually. This is the 1/2 inch fuller. The smaller fuller works more precisely, and it's just smaller, so it's better in some ways in terms of pressure, but it's also going to take more time to show you something. So I'm going to try to do this quick. First thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to use this to create a line. Dip that down a little bit. This one takes a fair amount of pressure. So I'm just going to try to make a line going right across this. I'm keeping it in the previous cut a little bit. That way it stays a nice seamless line. You can see there, I didn't get it perfect, but right across. The other thing I'm going to do is I'm going to turn this sideways actually. And I'm going to use the fuller tool to expand that out, sort of push it. So we're just going to go on the edge. And I'm just pushing this out. Just working that in, pushing it out. What's also kind of neat is it definitely creates a delineation between the metal that's not touched and the metal you're touching, meaning that I'm going to have a very harsh, clear line in the workpiece. So you see there is a very definitive line of that hasn't been touched and that has, which I find to be pretty cool. So that is a quick overview of the sort of stamping and pressing you can do with this.